Please, all of you, rather from Adubia United Basic, Hope College, and the current students, you are all welcome to Parliament. And I hope that you will not make it a one-day wonder, 9-day wonder. You will continue to come so that you can learn and perform better than us in the future. With this, I move on. Please resume your seats. We may now move to the main item. Yes.
Speaker, with respect, before that, shall we take the last business on the original order paper, page 15, item 8W and 8X on page 15.
Page 15, item
W and X.
Honorable members, we are being called upon to take the items numbered W and X at page 15 of the order paper. W is by the chairman of the committee, and this time it's a joint committee. Mines, now we have committee on energy and then another committee on lands and natural resources. The chairman is to lay the report for and on behalf of the joint committee.
Reports of the Joint Committee on Mines and Energy and Lands and Forestry on the Songot Salt Mining undertaken by Electrochem Ghana Limited.
Honorable members, the report is laid accordingly and for distribution to all members of Parliament. Then we take X by the chairman of the committee.
Report of the Committee on Mines and Energy on the 2024 work program of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation.
Honorable members, this report is also laid accordingly and is for distribution to all members of Parliament. Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I'm happy that the former chairman of the committee is here. As far as there were some provisions that were made in the report, and those monies were not going to be used by GNPC. And we asked that they should bring us a report from the Ministry of Energy to show us how those monies were going to be expended, or else it should be expunged. Since then, they have not returned to us. 3 days ago, I drew the attention of the clerk to it, and I'm happy that the former chairman is here. And so for them to have a report being laid, when we have not agreed on that, I'm sorry that my ranking is not here. Another kangaroo lane.
And why is the chairman in there?
Yes, that's the point.
Yes, chairman, yes.
And we're talking about almost $45 million.
Yes, I want to hear from the chairman of the committee. Yes, please.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, some issues were raised, and we pushed them to furnish the answers to your clerk. They are all there for their perusal, but they do not affect the substance of the matter. So when you are on your feet and you still want to interrogate, it is up to you, but whatever was required, all the residual issues are with the clerk. So I will crave the indulgence of Mr. Speaker that my good friend should liaise with the clerk so you can internalize all the papers you need, which you can use for arguments on the House floor. But the substance of the document, we have not departed from it. All the residual matters are with the clerk, with respect.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, you have a situation where GNPC is asked to contribute huge sums of money, millions of dollars, to the Ministry of Energy for a project nobody knows what the project is about. And all we asked was that give us a report of give us a report on what the project is all about, the scope of the report, the amount involved, and the justification why GMPC should be funding that. And as we speak, they have not brought it. And you incorporate that and for us to approve it. I mean, that's so wrong. And that cannot be a very material issue. That and besides that, you see, he was a very fantastic chairman, and I liked him. But as we speak now, I don't know what capacity he was speaking on.
That's all.
Well, what I heard the chairman to have said is that the documents have been deposited with the clerk to the committee, and therefore you could get copies from the clerk to the committee. That is what the chairman said.
Yeah,
yes, let me hear.
We needed to have that report and then need to see as to whether we agree that that allocation should be made. We have not met. But we will vote against it.
Yes, Deputy Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I think the Honourable Member, Honourable Bauer, was right. I was in that meeting, and those requests are made. But I think it's important to know that what we were expecting are very important and must find expressions in this report. And so, yes, if members have not seen it and expressed their views on those reports and we lay the report, we will not be doing a good service to this House. So I would strongly suggest that we stand down on this report, we make sure that members have opportunity to see those reports, and then we can really come back and lay the report.
Yes, Chairman, what do you say to a request?
With the greatest of respect to the former Minister for Energy. The matters we are complaining of are residual matters which are with the clerk. So when you go and internalize what they've left for us to see, that could be part of your submissions on the floor. Now, it doesn't change substantially the content of the work program. That is what I'm trying to say. Because they raised issues, they wanted to look at some documents. The documents have been furnished. But those matters are not at the core of the work program. So I don't see why it should hijack, what we are doing. When you are on your feet and you've gone to the clerk to see the documents, it can be part of your contribution at the House floor. But it doesn't change substantially the work program. It doesn't change it at all.
Ranking Member.
Mr. Speaker, I am shocked and surprised to see this report. Mr. Speaker, I quickly glanced through from page 1 to 16, and as far as I'm concerned, I disagree with every single page here in terms of this report. Every single page. Mr. Speaker, we have a lot to do before this report is generated. I am your ranking member. If you claim that documents have been submitted, Mr. Speaker, it's not right and proper that you fairly say to the ranking member, so that in collaboration with my competent and intelligent members, we can peruse this document to determine the way forward. Mr. Speaker, with the greatest of respect, taking regard to this report, I would appeal to you that just as you did with UI, this one to kindly stand it down. Yes. Let's go and do what is right and proper. Then we can come here and consider. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Minister, Trade and Industry.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the recognition. Mr. Speaker, I just looked at my time. The battery works all right. I checked with the other ones. Mr. Speaker, it's 3 o'clock. Mr. Speaker, we thought that there was a specific item that almost everybody came here, Mr. Speaker, for, and that is for the presentation of the mid-year review. Mr. Speaker, the Energy Committee matters, we could resolve it at the appropriate time. All the matters, Mr. Speaker, that you find here, we can resolve at the appropriate time. Mr. Speaker, for Christ's sake, our colleagues will allow the minister to present the report, the mid-year review budget. Let's get that out of the way. It's 3 o'clock, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, I think you should be talking to your leadership.
Give me 1 second.
Because they are guiding the speaker as to which item to call first.
I understand that, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, so that is what I'm doing. In view of what is happening, please, honorable members, who defer the laying, not stand down, who defer the laying of that item. And this is in reference to item X, 8X, at page 15 of the order paper. Then we can now proceed to the major item of the day. I agree with the Honorable Minister for Trade and Industry. We spent a lot of time. Can we now do the main item? Please. Is that agreeable?
It is so, Speaker.
Yes. Honorable members, item 6 is at page 2 of the original order paper. Statements, media review of the budget statement and economic policy of the government of Ghana for the 2024 financial year. Minister for Finance.
Thank you. The Right Honourable Speaker, Honourable Members of Parliament, on the authority of His Excellency President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, I present to you the mid-year fiscal policy review of the budget statement and economic policy of the Government of Ghana for the 2024 financial year. The mid-year fiscal policy review presentation is in fulfillment of Section 28 of the Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 921. Mr. Speaker, this statement is an abridged version of the mid-year fiscal policy review of the budget statement and economic policy for the 2024 financial year. I respectfully request that the entire mid-year fiscal policy be captured in the Hansa. Mr. Speaker, I want to begin this mid-year policy review by expressing my gratitude to His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, for appointing me to serve as the Finance Minister, especially at this critical time in our nation's history. It is such an honor and privilege to serve in this capacity, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. As a Member of Parliament for Karaga and one of your own, I wish to also express my profound appreciation to you, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, for the immense support I have received since I assumed office as Minister for Finance. I will continue to rely on the full cooperation of the House as we work together to serve our country. Growing up as a young boy in Ababu, Tamale, it never crossed my mind that I will one day stand before you to address this august House in this capacity. The young people out there should therefore know that, especially those sitting in the public gallery, that it is possible with hard work. It is possible with hard work, dedication, and by the grace of God, all of you have limitless opportunities to serve our country. Mr. Speaker, The last 2 years have been extremely challenging globally, and Ghana has not been an exception. The difficult economic environment has truly affected businesses and families, particularly the vulnerable in our society. These challenges have severely affected households, increased cost of living, and limited the creation of job opportunities. Our young people continue to seek employment opportunities beyond what the state can provide. Mr. Speaker, it has indeed been a difficult time, and I deeply empathize with our fellow Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, over the last 2 years, government has embarked on a number of decisive measures to get us back on the path of fiscal consolidation, economic stability, and growth. And I'm happy to note that these policies we have implemented are yielding the expected results. Growth continues to exceed our expectations. The 4.7% growth rate reported by the Ghana Statistical Service for the first quarter 2024 exceeds the 3.1% recorded in the same period in 2023. Inflation is declining. End June inflation rate of 22.8%, a reduction of 31 percentage points from the December 2022, which confirms the target of 15% by end 2024 is possible. Exchange rate has largely stabilized compared to December 2022, despite the recent pressures. The 18.6% depreciation rate to the US dollar as of June 2024 represents an improvement over the 22% recorded for the same period last year. And gross international reserves reached 3.1 months of import cover as at end June 2024, against 2.5 months of import cover in the same period last year. Mr. Speaker, it is evident that we are on the right trajectory. The economy is rebounding stronger than anticipated. The choices we've made and the policies we are implementing are yielding results. We've reversed the negative trends. All the indicators are looking better. I want to assure you that we will stay on this path and continue to make the right choices. Our economy is recovering, and the recovery is fast and strong. Mr. Speaker, over the last 6 months, we've sought to bring some urgency and speed to the implementation of key government programs, and also swiftly provided the necessary support for growth-enhancing initiatives. I am again happy to inform this august House that with the support of His Excellency the President, Cabinet, and all stakeholders, we have successfully concluded the second review of our extended credit facility with the International Monetary Fund, which led to the disbursement of the third tranche of $360 million, bringing total disbursement to about $1.6 billion. We have completed the debt restructuring program with the Official Creditor Committee of Ghana, covering $5.1 billion, resulting in approximately $2.8 billion of debt service relief. This means that we will not service our debt to our official creditors from 2023 to 2026. We have concluded negotiations with our European partners covering $13.1 billion, which will lead to a cancellation of $4.7 billion of our debt and provide debt service relief of another $4.4 billion between 2023 and 2026. We've concluded our negotiations with 5 of the 7 independent power producers, which will lead to a saving of $6.6 billion over the remaining lifetime of the power purchase agreements. We've reined in expenditure to ensure we are within the 2024 budget appropriation and exceeded the mid-year non-oil revenue target by 3.7%. In effect, Mr. Speaker, we are living within our means. Indeed, consistent with our programs with the IMF, we are on course to achieving a primary surplus of 0.5% of GDP by end of the year. We've cleared all outstanding bank transfer advice, BTAs, up to 2022, and working hard to pay BTAs from 2023. We've embarked on major reforms of state-owned enterprises, especially those in the energy and cocoa sectors, to be fiscally prudent and reduce their risk on the budget. We've launched the SME Go program to provide financial and technical support to SMEs. We've disbursed 5.4 billion Ghana cedis to support LEAD, school feeding program, capitation grant, and NHIS since January 2024 to reduce the burden on the vulnerable in our society. We've spent about 1.5 billion Ghana cedis to support 1,488,575 students under the free senior high school program between January and June this year. We've paid about 12 billion Ghana cedis to bondholders under our domestic debt exchange program since February to demonstrate our commitment to the program. Mr. Speaker, we've invested almost 10 billion Ghana cedis in the road sector since January 2024 to enhance transportation and spur growth. I can also confirm that government has secured equipment to complement the efforts of our local authorities in improving community roads nationwide. Mr. Speaker, in line with our commitment to infrastructure development, we continue to make progress on projects such as Onfuanoti Teaching Hospital, Ofanko Nsawam Road, Keta Water Supply, Opichebi Lamte, and Flower Pot interchanges, the 3 bypasses on the Kumasi-Accra Highway, and the Tema-Mpakadam Railway Line. We've completed the Prempeh the First International Airport in Kumasi and the Yakubu Tali International Airport in Tamale. Agenda 111 hospitals are at various stages of completion. We have completed the Afari Hospital in Kumasi and many other hospitals across the country. To advance our digitalization drive and expand our unique identification system, we've invested about 135 million Ghana cedis in the National Identification Program since January 2024. Mr. Speaker, this significant progress has been underpinned by an environment of enhanced and inclusive engagements with key stakeholders. These engagements have provided useful feedback, improved our understanding, and boosted our cooperation with stakeholders. Mr. Speaker, the stabilization is real. We are determined to stay the course of the program, prudent management of approved expenditures, and improved revenue mobilization. We will also continue with our programs of delivering critical physical and digital infrastructure. To generate economic activity and increase growth, we will focus on increasing our investments in the road sector under the Economic Growth Improvement Program (ERI). This program will ensure that roads are built to connect producing areas to market centers and to key tourist sites. Accordingly, certain critical economic roads have been prioritized. We are structuring a financial arrangement that will ensure the timely completion of these strategic roads: the Accra-Kumasi Highway, Accra-Takoradi Highway, Takoradi-Agona-Nkwanta Junction, and Tema-Afenya Road. We will work with the private sector to close the national housing deficit and optimize land use in urban areas. We will use public-private partnership to deliver public infrastructure projects. Mr. Speaker, Cabinet has also granted approval for the disbursement of an additional 1.5 billion Ghana cedis to provide relief and bailout for those whose funds have been locked up in the fund management companies. The establishment of a framework for the reintroduction of road and bridge tolls in 2025. The operationalization of the integrated property tax system and a review of the fiscal responsibility rules to include a debt room to support debt sustainability, as well as the establishment of independent fiscal council. Mr. Speaker, our outlook for the rest of the year also takes cognizance of key risks. The IMF this month has already noted that the global economy is in a sticky spot. Upside risk to inflation and their impact on interest rates remain. These coexist in an environment of escalating trade tensions and increased policy uncertainty. On the domestic front, we recognize the need to meet large debt service payments relating to our just-ended debt operations. We will continue to review the performance of key SOEs and engage stakeholders to decisively mitigate their risk. Despite these significant risks, this mid-year fiscal policy review reassesses government's commitment to pursue growth in a context of fiscal consolidation and debt sustainability. Mr. Speaker, the developments in key operations for the economy, as at mid-year, have prompted shifts in some of the assumptions that underpin the 2024 budget, presented in November 2023. There have been changes in amortization, interest costs due to the external debt operations, and disbursement forecasts for externally funded projects. In this regard, we will remain within the appropriation for 2024. Accordingly, Mr. Speaker, we are not seeking supplementary funds in this mid-year review. We are determined to be more efficient, strategic, and intentional to enrich and entrench fiscal consolidation and strongly promote growth. Mr. Speaker, in today's presentation of the mid-year policy review of government, I'll provide updates on the following key areas. An update on the macro and fiscal performance for the year 2023, a review of the implementation of the 2024 budget for the first half of the year, the current economic developments and outlook, progress made on the implementation of key government policies, particularly of the IMF-supported PCPEC, the status of Ghana's debt restructuring program, efforts at pursuing growth and development within a stable macroeconomic environment, and the status of implementation of government programs, among others. Mr. Speaker, global growth projections indicate a moderation from 3.5% in 2022 to 3.3% in 2023. This trend is expected to vary slightly into 2024, with a growth of 3.2% and 3.3% in 2025, according to the July 2024 update of the World Economic Outlook. The forecast for sub-Saharan Africa point to an uptick from 3.4% in 2023 to 3.7% and 4.1% in 2024 and 2025 respectively. This growth trajectory is supported by the reversal of earlier anticipated weather-related shocks and ongoing improvements in supply conditions. Mr. Speaker, global headline inflation is expected to decline from 6.7% in 2023 to 5.9% in 2024, and further to 4.4% in 2025. This is according to the World Economic Outlook update for July 2024. In the sub-Saharan Africa region, headline inflation is projected to decrease to 6% in 2024 from 10% in 2023. However, about one-third of the region's countries continue to experience double-digit headline inflation, largely influenced by the pass-through impacts of significant currency depreciations. Mr. Speaker, gold prices have reached highs, record highs, rising by 8% annually due to safe haven flows and robust central bank buying. Prices are expected to increase moderately to $2,100 per ounce throughout 2024. Mr. Speaker, when we presented the 2024 budget to this August House last November, we shared our progress in terms of the macroeconomic performance for the first 3 quarters of 2023. Today, with the full year data at our disposal, I present a more comprehensive update on the performance of the domestic economy in 2023 and the first half of 2024. Mr. Speaker, the year 2023 was characterized by improved macroeconomic stability, resilience, and gradual recovery. Despite the persistent global headwinds stemming from the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine conflict, we observed some encouraging developments. We witnessed a gradual shift towards economic stabilization, with most key macroeconomic indicators showing signs of improvement, including growth, proving to be more resilient and robust than initially programmed. Mr. Speaker, provisional 2023 GDP statistics published by the Ghana Statistical Service in April 2024 indicate that growth of the economy in 2023 was more resilient than projected. The economy expanded by 2.9% against a target of 1.5%, whilst non-oil GDP grew by 3.3%. In the first quarter of 2024, growth was 4.7%, the highest growth recorded since the second quarter of 2022. This growth largely reflected an expansion in the industry sector, which recorded a growth of 6.8%. Mr. Speaker, headline inflation decelerated significantly to 23.2% as at end December 2023, representing 31.4 percentage points reduction from the peak of 54.6% recorded in December 2022. In June 2024, headline inflation declined to 22.8%. The decline in price pressures was broadly driven by tight monetary policy stance, ongoing fiscal consolidation of government, and export fares due to stable crude oil prices. Mr. Speaker, in 2023, interest rates broadly showed downtrends at the shorter end of the yield curve, whilst rates at the longer dated segment of the market remained stable. The 91-day and 182-day Treasury rates decreased to 29.4% and 31.7% in December 2023, and further down to 24.9% and 24.6% in June 2024, coming down from 35.5% and 36.2% recorded in December 2022. Mr. Speaker, the banking sector rebounded in 2023 with an improved balance sheet performance in December 2023 on the back of increased liquidity flows from deposits and shareholders' funds. Total assets increased by 29.7% to 274.9 billion Ghana cedis as at end December 2023. Total investment also increased by 47.5% to 100.2 billion Ghana cedis, driven by the bank's allocated portfolios towards short-term investments in response to the increase in short-term money market rates. This sector in 2023 was marked by a general reduction in external payments, resulting in a current account surplus and reduced capital and financial account outflow. Consequently, the overall balance of payment recorded a surplus of $461.6 million. The current account improved to a surplus of $1.41 billion, driven by a strong growth in remittances as the reforms in the fintech ecosystem started to yield positive results. Mr. Speaker, for the first half of 2024, the trade balance recorded a provisional surplus of $1.81 billion, higher than the outturn of $1.6 billion recorded in the corresponding period of 2023. This was the result of a larger increase in exports which outweigh the increase in imports. The improved trade surplus, together with an even stronger growth in remittances and the lingering reduction in income payments due to the debt standstill, resulted in larger current account surplus of 0.5% of GDP. This is recorded in the first half of 2024. This compares with the current account surplus of 1.1% of GDP registered in the same period a year ago. Mr. Speaker, gross international reserves stood at $5.9 billion, equivalent to 2.7 months of import at the end of December 2023. Our reserves further increased to $6.9 billion, equivalent to 3.1 months of import cover at the end of June this year. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana cedi experienced a relatively moderate depreciation against major international currencies in 2023 compared to the previous year. Cumulatively, the Ghana cedi depreciated by 27.8%, 31.9%, and 30.3% against the US dollar, the pound sterling, and the euro, respectively, in 2023. In the first half of 2024, the cedi depreciated by 18.6%, 17.9%, and 16% against the US dollar, the pound sterling, and the euro, respectively. This compares to a depreciation of 22%, 26%, and 23.8% against the US dollar, the pound sterling, and the euro, respectively, in the first half. Operations for 2023 showed significant improvement in the fiscal balances, demonstrating an effective fiscal consolidation with the primary balance on commitment basis, reducing by over 4 percentage points of GDP in 2023 relative to 2022. The fiscal performance for 2023 is presented within the context of the revised 2023 overall deficit on commitment basis, which has a target of 5.7% of GDP, with a corresponding primary deficit of 0.5% of GDP. On cash basis, the revised 2023 overall deficit target was 6.4% of GDP. Overall budget deficit on commitment basis was 31.5 billion Ghana cedis, 3.7% of GDP, compared to the mid-year budget target of 49 billion Ghana cedis, 5.7% of GDP. Primary balance on commitment basis was a deficit of 2.2 billion Ghana cedis, 0.3% of GDP, which was an improvement over the deficit target of 4.1 billion Ghana cedis, 0.5% of GDP, and a significant improvement from the deficit 4.3% of GDP recorded in 2022. The overall budget balance on cash basis was a deficit of 28 billion Ghana cedis, 3.3% of GDP, which is much lower than the target of 55 billion Ghana cedis, 6.4% of GDP, and down from the deficit of 10.6% of GDP recorded in 2022. Primary balance on cash basis was a surplus of 1.4 billion Ghana cedis, 0.2% of GDP, which is an improvement compared to the deficit target of 10.1 billion Ghana cedis, that is 1.2% of GDP, and the deficit 3.2% of GDP recorded in 2022. Mr. Speaker, provisional data on government fiscal operations for the first half of 2024 indicates that revenue mobilization and expenditure execution were broadly in line with the target, resulting in an overall budget deficit on commitment basis of 21.3 billion Ghana cedis. This corresponding primary balance on commitment basis was a deficit of 2.3 billion Ghana cedis, that is 0.2% of GDP, compared to the deficit target of 2.4 billion Ghana cedis, also 0.2% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, the overall cash budget deficit was 36.1 billion Ghana cedis, 3.4% of GDP, compared with the deficit target of 35.2 billion Ghana cedis, 3.3% of GDP. The corresponding primary balance on cash basis was a deficit of 17.1 billion Ghana cedis, 1.6% of GDP, compared with the period target of 8.8 billion Ghana cedis, 0.8% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, total revenue and grants for the first half of 2024 amounted to 74.7 billion Ghana cedis, 1.9% below the target of 76.1 billion Ghana cedis. Despite the shortfalls, the outturn shows a nominal year-on-year growth of 24.6% and constitutes 42.3% of the budget's total revenue for the year. The revenue performance was mainly driven by the strong performance in non-oil tax revenue and non-oil non-tax revenue, which partly offset the shortfalls in oil receipts for the period. Mr. Speaker, total expenditures commitment amounted to 95.9 billion Ghana cedis, below the budget target of 104.8 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, as at end December 2023, the provisional central government and guaranteed debt in nominal terms was 608.4 billion Ghana cedis. This was made up of 351.1 billion Ghana cedis and 257.2 billion Ghana cedis for external and domestic debt, respectively. Mr. Speaker, the provisional total central government debt as at end June 2024 stood at 742 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent to 70.6% of GDP. This indicates an increase of 22% due to the effect of the cedi depreciation and disbursements from creditors. The stock consists of external debt of 452 billion Ghana cedis and domestic debt of 290 billion Ghana cedis, representing 60.9% and 39.1% of the total debt stock, respectively. As a percentage of GDP, external and domestic debt represented 43% and 27.6%, respectively. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's medium-term macroeconomic and financial outlook and prospects remain positive and favorable, despite the challenging global environment. The ongoing improvement in the implementation of the IMF-supported post-COVID-19 program for economic growth reinforces our commitment to navigate through global uncertainty and address domestic challenges, promoting investors to re-echo our objective of building back better. Mr. Speaker, it has become necessary to revise the 2024 macroeconomic framework due to recent domestic and global economic developments, including the impact of the debt restructuring. Mr. Speaker, key revisions to the macro fiscal targets for 2024 include overall real GDP growth rate revised upwards from 2.8% to 3.1%. Non-oil real GDP growth rate is revised upwards from 2.1% to 2.8%. Growth in GDP deflator scaled down from 20.2% to 17.5%. Nominal overall GDP has been revised from 1.050 billion Ghana cedis, that is 1 trillion Ghana cedis, to 1.020 billion Ghana cedis. Non-oil GDP has been revised from 979 billion Ghana cedis to 977 billion Ghana cedis. End-period head inflation remains unchanged at 15%. primary balance on commitment basis is maintained at the surplus of 0.5%, and gross international reserves, including oil funds and incumbent or pledged assets, to cover no less than 3 months of imports. Mr. Speaker, accounting for these developments, the revision of the 2024 fiscal framework indicates that the primary balance on commitment basis remains unchanged at the targeted surplus of 0.5% of GDP, in line with the IMF-supported PCPEC objectives. Mr. Speaker, total revenue and grants have been revised upwards by 0.5% to 177.2 billion Ghana cedis in 2024, from the 2024 budget target of 176.4 billion Ghana cedis. This largely reflects increase in non-oil tax revenue, which has been increased from 14.8 billion Ghana cedis to 15.6 billion Ghana cedis to reflect dividends from interest accrued in the ESLA accounts. Mr. Speaker, total expenditure on commitment has been revised downward by 2.1% to 219.7 billion Ghana cedis from the original budget projection of 226.7 billion Ghana cedis. This revision is largely on the back of interest payments, which has been revised downwards by 7.9 billion Ghana cedis to reflect the impact of the external debt restructuring on external interest payments. Mr. Speaker, the overall balance on commitment basis has been revised from a deficit of 50.3 billion Ghana cedis to a deficit of 42.5 billion Ghana cedis. The primary balance on commitment basis is therefore maintained at surplus of 0.5% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, the cash deficit of 54.1 billion Ghana cedis is expected to be financed from foreign and domestic sources. The net foreign financing will amount to 15.2 billion Ghana cedis, representing 28.1% of the total financing for 2024. Foreign financing will include disbursements from the second and third tranche of the IMF program and the World Bank Development Policy Operation Fund. Mr. Speaker, the domestic financing will amount to 38.9 billion Ghana cedis, representing 71.9% of the total financing for 2024. This is expected to be sourced from the issuances of debt at the short end of the domestic market and inflows from Ghana Petroleum Funds. Mr. Speaker, the 2024 medium-term debt strategy will continue to build on the strategy implemented in the first half of the year. The strategy will focus on an appropriate financing mix aimed at supporting fiscal consolidation without compromising macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability. Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to report that government has made substantial progress since the completion of the domestic debt exchange program in September 2023. We've successfully honored 2 coupon payments, with the second payment of 9 billion Ghana cedis in February 2024. Furthermore, we are on track to make the third coupon payment of 6.1 billion Ghana cedis in August 2024. The timely payments of these coupons will undoubtedly improve investor confidence in the domestic market and bolster the overall economy. After an 8-month period of negotiations, Mr. Speaker, government and the Official Creditor Committee for Ghana reached an agreement in principle on the 12th January 2024, outlining the broad parameters for the restructuring of official bilateral debts. Subsequently, on the 11th June 2024, government and the OCC reached an agreement on an MOU covering the restructuring of about $5.1 billion of the official bilateral debt. Mr. Speaker, as I indicated earlier, I am pleased to report that this agreement resulted in debt service relief amounting to $2.8 billion over the course of the IMF program. 2023 to 2026, which will provide critical liquidity support to the economy. Mr. Speaker, the MOU will serve as the guiding document for amending individual country claims against Ghana. The next critical step is a direct engagement with the bilateral creditors to implement the mutually agreed restructuring terms. Mr. Speaker, government is committed to securing debt treatment from all other external creditors, consistent with the comparability of treatment principle enshrined in the G20 Common Framework. We are pleased to announce that on the 24th of June 2024, government reached an agreement in principle with the Eurobond holders to restructure approximately $13.1 billion of outstanding Eurobonds. Additionally, it reduces the nominal value of the outstanding Eurobonds by $4.7 billion and provides debt service relief of about $4.4 billion during the program period. Mr. Speaker, the debt restructuring will result in reducing the present value of our public debt to 55% by 2028, as embedded in the IMF-supported program. Mr. Speaker, the government of Ghana remains committed to engaging in good faith negotiations with other commercial external creditors, comprising primarily private banks and suppliers or contractors that have provided commercial loan facilities. Our objective is to finalize restructuring agreements with these creditors that uphold the principle of comparability of treatment and addresses Ghana's requirement for debt relief, ensuring a comprehensive and sustainable approach to our external debt obligations. The debt restructuring has been a crucial pillar of Ghana's economic recovery from the 2022 crisis. It has helped to restore confidence in the economy, and the following benefits are evident: rapid restoration of macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability, avoidance of steeper fiscal adjustment, creation of fiscal space for development spending, and prevention of a domestic and external banking crisis. Mr. Speaker, despite the benefits, we remain committed to exercising caution, informed by the lessons learned from our experiences and the sacrifices of the Ghanaian people. Our debt strategy going forward includes deepening reforms to ensure irreversibility and building buffers to reduce vulnerabilities and enhance resilience. Mr. Speaker, in the 2024 budget statement and economic policy, government outlined a series of revenue measures consistent with the medium-term revenue strategy. The measures reflected the commitment of government to improve the tax-to-GDP ratio from the current 14.1% to 18 to 20% by 2027. In the 2024 budget, government amended existing legislation to give effect to the revenue measures. These measures also aim to broaden the tax base and improve tax compliance for a more equitable and efficient revenue system. Mr. Speaker, whilst not all the measures were implemented in the first half of the year through enhanced compliance and enforcement, the Ghana Revenue Authority exceeded its mid-year target by 0.2%. Similarly, non-tax revenue performance, as at the end of June, exceeded the target by 14%. Mr. Speaker, in line with its commitment to ensuring full disclosure of retained internal generated funds by public institutions, government has deployed the Ghana.gov platform to over 1,000 and also rolled out the Ghana Integrated Financial Management Information System, GIFMIX, to 287 IGF-reliant public institutions. As at the end of June, 140 public institutions, including GRA, had gone live and received payments through the platform, totaling 56.4 billion cedis, an increase of 34.6% compared to the same period in 2023. Mr. Speaker, for the rest of the year, the Ministry of Finance will deepen engagement with both GRA and relevant stakeholders to effectively implement policy, administrative, and regulatory measures to ensure that the revenue targets are met. Mr. Speaker, to broaden the tax base, a simplified digital solution for the operationalization of the modified taxation scheme will be deployed, as well as an electronic bookkeeping system. Additionally, 2,000 more taxpayers will be onboarded onto the electronic invoicing system, the EVAT system, by the close of the year. GRA will also continue with the cleaning of the taxpayer register and onboard more taxpayers onto its electronic systems to improve the taxpayer experience and compliance. In addition, GRA will continue to enforce and enhance data sharing with other tax jurisdictions to boost revenue mobilization. Government will reinstitute the integrated property tax system by synthesizing data from MMDAs, lands valuation, ECG, and other relevant government agencies to create a comprehensive digital property record database that will transform property data management and ensure a more efficient and accurate property tax system. Mr. Speaker, to enhance revenue mobilization by IGF-reliant covered entities, discussions will be held around provisions of incentives to those institutions that exceed their revenue target for the year. The Ministry will continue the deployment of the Ghana.gov payment platform to remaining public institutions and ensure that all those already onboarded go live. Planning activities for the full rollout and utilization of the gift mix expenditures will be completed by the end of the year. Mr. Speaker, government will also develop a framework for the reintroduction of road and bridge tolls to facilitate the processes for the implementation of a modernized and efficient road and bridge tolling system commencing in 2025. Government undertook to ensure that we will have stability and also ensure that the economy continues to grow. Government also continued the implementation of ongoing programs and seeks in this media review to provide an update on the progress and the outlook for the rest of the year. Mr. Speaker, government is determined to improve road infrastructure in the country. This has been done through the construction of new roads and the upgrade and maintenance of old ones. The rehabilitation and maintenance of road infrastructure nationwide are at various stages of completion. These include Gabosu, Boinzang, ongoing roads, Winneba Kaswa, Karaga Town roads, Bushabu Town roads, Tolon Daboya roads, Nanton Karaga Bushabu Highway, Sefuweasu Town roads, Accra Kumasi roads, and many other roads. Some of the completed road projects include the Diasova, Esinchim, Manshia, Anchi, Ajekro, Debra Kam, and others. Sunyani and Bekum inner city roads, Atebubu town roads, Asimfosu, Dunkwa, Koko station. In addition, the following major roads are at various stages of completion. The rehabilitation of the Tamale-Tatali Road, Phase 2 of the Tema Motorway Roundabout, construction of the flyover over the Accra-Tema Motorway from the Flower Point Roundabout on the Spintex Road to East Legon. The Phase 2 works under the Swami Interchange, dualization of the Sawam Ofanko Road, works on the Aguna Nkwanta Takwa Road, works on the Domi Kitasi Road, and Phase 2 of Obichibi Lamti Interchange and ancillary works. Mr. Speaker, our commitment to building an efficient railway network is not just about transportation. It is about fostering economic growth, creating jobs, and enhancing connectivity throughout our nation. The Nsawam-Accra Tema railway line is completed and in use. The construction of the iconic Tema to Mpakadam railway line is 99% complete and is expected to be fully completed this year. The construction of the Kodokrom-Manso section is expected to be completed before the end of 2024. The Manso-Hanri Valley, which includes the extension of the line into the Takoradi port, is expected to be completed by May 2026. Mr. Speaker, government constructed about 10 fishing ports to improve the livelihood of fishing communities. The Jamestown Fishing Port, which is the last project, is expected to be completed and commissioned by the end of 2024. Mr. Speaker, construction of an oil and gas services terminal at the Takoradi port is 77% complete. In addition, construction of phase 1 of the is about 70% complete. Mr. Speaker, government, in collaboration with its social partners, has developed a draft labor bill 2024 to strengthen labor administration and regulation of the world of work. Key reforms proposed include strengthening labor migration governance, improving employment coordination. Key reforms proposed include strengthening labor migration governance, improving employment coordination, extension of maternity leave, and introduction of paternity leave, among others. The labor law is expected to be promulgated before the end of this year. Government continues to reform and position the Youth Employment Agency as a facilitator of jobs for the teeming youth of our country. In the first half of the year, about 90,000 beneficiaries were engaged, including 15,000 youth in community policing, 6,000 youth in community health, 1,500 in prison services, and 2,100 youth in garment and apparel. Mr. Speaker, as part of the preparation towards the conduct of the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections, the Electoral Commission registered voters in 268 district offices and 775 electoral areas. The Commission also compiled the special voters list and managed applications for vote transfers and proxy voting. Mr. Speaker, during the first half of 2024, the National Commission for Civic Education carried out sensitization and awareness creation for a total number of 3.1 million people regarding the peaceful conduct of the 2024 general election. Mr. Speaker, as part of activities to effectively coordinate security coverage for the electoral activities this year, the Police Service has established the Police Election Security Secretariat under the authority of the National Election Security Task Force. Mr. Speaker, in line with our commitment to upholding the rule of law, we have constructed a 12-story state-of-the-art law house to accommodate the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice. This significant project, originally initiated by His Excellency the President during his tenure as Attorney General in 2001, was officially commissioned by him on June 10, 2024. Mr. Speaker, there has been a consistent reduction in irregularities reported by the Auditor General since 2020. Between 2022 and 2023, irregularities reduced by 32%, amounting to savings of about 5.2 billion Ghana cedis. Also, due to the policies, guidelines, and the PFM measures implemented by the Ministry of Finance, about 99.26% of all irregularities identified in 2023 by the Auditor General are recoverable. The Ministry of Finance is working with the Internal Audit Agency, the internal audit units, and audit committees to recover these amounts. Mr. Speaker, this economy has been anchored on the entrepreneurial spirit of our SMEs over the decades. They employ 80% of our people and contribute about 70% to GDP. However, SMEs continue to have challenges regarding access to finance, wide gaps, limited access to technology and digital infrastructure, and regulatory constraints as well. Mr. Speaker, as I indicated earlier, the SME Growth and Opportunity Program, SME Go, has been launched to connect SMEs with resources, expertise, and opportunities. Altogether, we've mobilized about 8.2 billion Ghana cedis through Development Bank Ghana, Ghana Exim Bank, Ghana Enterprise Agency, and other partners for SMEs to grow and increase competitiveness in regional markets. We are grateful to the IFC for the $400 million and to the Africa Development Bank for the $45 million support provided towards this program. We will also continue our collaboration with key institutions such as Ministry of Trade and Industry, the Ghana Commodity Exchange, the Venture Capital Trust Fund, GESA, NEP, MASLOC, and YEA to support the SME ecosystem in this new era of SME development. Sector. To improve our food security, we are implementing the Enhanced Planting for Food and Jobs, Phase 2. Through this program, we introduced the input credit system and adopted technology-driven platforms, enabling farmers and value chain actors to operate transparently and efficiently. Mr. Speaker, to support the private sector in enhancing fish and aquaculture production, we've scaled up the supply of premix fuel since January 2024. Additionally, we are also partnering with private enterprises and are providing employment to about 10,000 people to expand and venture further into aquaculture. Mr. Speaker, government has remained focused on expanding the economic enclave projects under the Ghana Cares program. We secured 50,000 acres of land to ensure security of tenure and de-risk agricultural investments, thereby attracting private sector involvement in the cultivation of rice, maize, soya, poultry, grains, vegetables, and animal husbandry. At the Kusunya EEP in the Greater Accra region, government has taken significant steps to de-risk private sector operations for the cultivation of rice, including the completion of 18 kilometers of feeder routes from Chopoli Junction on the main Accra-Ada route to the enclave, extension of 18 kilometers electricity to the enclave, development of a 20-kilometer irrigation canal for consistent water supply and year-round farming. Additionally, we have trained about 500 youths on agricultural entrepreneurship through a $6.1 million partnership with the MasterCard Foundation. These investments have resulted...
Honourable Minister, may you just have a short break? I will suspend.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Sitting for 5 minutes. Take your breath, and I will ease up and come back in 5 minutes. Sitting is suspended for 5 minutes.
coalition has reiterated its commitment to organizing free and fair elections this December.
How's your week treating you? I'm here to serve you great music tidbits for your at-work listening pleasure.
Rastafari, Rastafari, Rastafari. Our Father, who art in Zion, Kanamawe, Kanamawe, Kanamawe. Oh, turn it up!
Coming to the mountains, sight and I grandpa.
It's time to drive you home in style with great music at the